This lesson focuses on the psychological preparation and final review strategies that make the difference between knowing the material and actually performing well on test day. We'll cover proven mental techniques, last-minute review methods, and strategic approaches that successful GED test takers use to maximize their scores. First, let's talk about how to manage the critical 48 hours before your test. This short window can make or break your performance, not because you'll suddenly learn a lot of new material, but because your mindset, rest, and preparation will directly affect how well you use what you already know. 2 days before the test. To begin with, stop intensive studying. Your brain needs time to consolidate information. Instead, review only your summary notes and key formulas. At this point, it's also smart to get practical details in order. Prepare your documents, ID, confirmation number. Do a practice run to the test center if the location is unfamiliar, and check traffic patterns for your test time. Finally, lay out your test day outfit. Choose something comfortable and layered so you can adjust to the room temperature. The day before the test. Next, on the day before the exam, avoid learning new material. Reviewing unfamiliar content only creates unnecessary anxiety. Instead, keep it light. Spend no more than 30 minutes revisiting your personal trouble spots. Then, organize all your test materials in one place and set multiple alarms so you wake up on time. To protect your energy, avoid alcohol and limit caffeine. Try to get to bed at least 30 minutes earlier than usual, and end your evening with something relaxing that doesn't involve screens, like reading, journaling, or listening to calm music. The morning of the test. Finally, on test day morning, wake up at least 2 hours before leaving. Start with a balanced breakfast that includes protein and complex carbs, while avoiding sugary foods that could cause energy crashes. A little light physical activity, like a short walk or some stretches, will help shake off nerves. Then, boost your mindset. Review your personal confidence sheet, 5 key points you know well, and repeat positive self-talk statements. Most importantly, leave earlier than necessary so you arrive calm and prepared. Anxiety is common during exams, but you can control it with the right tools. Physical calming methods. First, let's begin with simple physical techniques that calm the body and reduce stress signals. Box breathing technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4. Exhale for 4, hold for 4. Progressive muscle relaxation. Tense and release different muscle groups to release built-up tension. Grounding technique. Name 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, and 3 things you feel. Shoulder release. Roll your shoulders back and down to ease tightness. Facial relaxation. Unclench your jaw and soften your facial muscles. Feet grounding. Press your feet firmly into the floor to feel more centered. These physical actions send a signal to your body that you are safe, which helps your mind refocus. Mental reset strategies. Next, let's move to mental techniques that shift your mindset and reduce negative thinking. Positive visualization. Picture yourself staying calm and succeeding. Reframe negative thoughts. Instead of, I might fail, say, I'm prepared. Focus on process, not outcome. Take it one question at a time. Personal mantras. Use short reminders like, I know this material. Helpful perspective. Remember, a little anxiety can actually sharpen focus. Accept imperfection. You only need a score of 145, not a perfect 200. These strategies train your brain to stay confident and realistic instead of overwhelmed. During test anxiety spikes. Finally, let's cover what to do if anxiety suddenly rises in the middle of the test. Pause and breathe. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. Skip and return. Move past a triggering question and come back later. Build momentum. Answer an easier question to rebuild confidence. Look back positively. Remind yourself of questions you already answered correctly. Positive self-talk. Say, I can figure this out. Normalize difficulty. Remember, everyone finds some questions hard. By using these quick strategies, you can stop anxiety from spiraling and regain control of your test performance. Next, let's move into smart strategies for actually answering GED questions. The 3-pass system. To begin, one of the most reliable approaches is the 3-pass system. First pass, 40% of time. Answer all easy questions immediately. Second pass, 40% of time, work through moderate difficulty items. Third pass, 20% of time, attempt flag difficult questions. As a reminder, never leave blanks. Educated guesses still give you a chance at points. Also, trust your first instinct unless you find clear evidence to change an answer. Question type strategies. Next, let's look at how to handle specific types of GED questions. Muting passages. Read the questions first, then scan the text for answers. Math word problems. Underline exactly what you're solving for before working. Science graphs. Always check axis labels and units first to avoid mistakes. Social studies documents. Pay attention to the source and date immediately. Extended response. Spend about 5 minutes planning before writing. Answer pattern recognition. Finally, keep in mind some answer choice patterns that often appear on standardized tests. Avoid choosing all of the above unless you're certain. None of the above is rarely correct on the GED. Extreme words, always, never, only, often signal wrong answers. Moderate qualifiers, usually, often, sometimes, are more likely correct. The longest answer is often correct in technical style questions. If two answers look very similar, one of them is likely correct. With these strategies, you'll be able to approach each question type with confidence and recognize common answer patterns that give you an advantage. Let's go through each subject area with the most testable shortcuts and reminders. Math power review. First, let's focus on math. Memorize these conversions. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. Key percent shortcuts. 10% means move the decimal left 1 place. 5% is half of 10%. 1% means move the decimal left 2 places. Other quick checks. Slope is always rise over run, or vertical over horizontal. Remember the Pythagorean triple, 3, 4, 5, along with multiples like 6, 8, 10, and 9, 12, 15. Language arts quick wins. Next, let's look at language art strategies. Essay structure, introduction, 2 to 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Transition words to know. However, therefore, moreover, furthermore, in contrast. Grammar red flags. It's versus its. There versus there versus there. Effect versus effect. Comma rule. If you naturally pause when reading aloud, a comma is probably needed. Evidence citation. Always use direct quotes from the passage provided. Science, logic patterns. Now, moving on to science. Variable identification. Independent is what you change. Dependent is what you measure. Graph relationships. Direct means both increase. Inverse means one goes up while the other goes down. Control group. Always the normal or untreated group. Hypothesis format. If independent variable, then dependent variable. Energy rule. Energy is always conserved, never created or destroyed. Social studies context clues. Finally, let's review social studies. Amendment numbers to remember. First equals freedoms. 13th abolish slavery. 19th gave women the right to vote. Economic indicators. GDP going up signals growth. Unemployment going up signals recession. Map reading. Always check the compass rose and the scale. Timeline trick. Work backwards from events you already know. Primary versus secondary sources. Primary is from the time period itself. Secondary is written about the period later. With these quick reminders, you'll be able to spot shortcuts, apply logic, and avoid common mistakes across all GED subjects. Your GED performance depends not just on what you know, but on how you apply it under timed conditions. Success comes from balancing preparation, calmness, and smart test-taking tactics. 48-hour countdown. Ease up on intense studying, review only the essentials, and get organized. Anxiety management. Use steady breathing and positive self-talk to stay calm and focused. Strategic approach. Apply the 3-pass system, eliminate wrong answers, and use question-specific strategies. Subject-specific focus. Rely on key formulas, patterns, and rules you've already practiced. Remember, the GED tests your knowledge and your test-taking skills. You've prepared the content, now execute the strategy. Trust your preparation, manage your energy, and approach each question strategically. You don't need perfection, just persistence and smart tactics to reach that passing score of 145.